This app is so much more than just an app for dumb TikTok dances. So when I hear these elected officials literally mock and make fun of TikTok and its creators, I'm disgusted.
The message that I really want to get home to the American government and everybody that is trying to pass this bill is you will be destroying small businesses like us. This is our livelihood. If you pass this bill, you will be destroying the American dream that we really believe in.
So yeah, we've got to talk about TikTok today. Yeah, the app that is apparently about to get banned here in America. An app that a lot of you have even told me to stop using because you guys have seen a lot of my YouTube shorts and those clips. A lot of those clips actually come from TikTok itself. And I post on TikTok myself personally. Link is in the description if you care to follow me. Right. But anyway, we've got to talk about TikTok because Congress has introduced and passed a bill. Now it's going to the Senate to ban TikTok. And they did it very, very quickly. And when something like that happens, I think it's important to pay attention to what's actually going on and read the fine print. We're going to be diving into that today because there's a lot about this, or one big key piece about this TikTok ban that people aren't talking about, or enough people aren't really talking about. Or at least all I saw for a little while there was people talking about wanting to ban TikTok and that it should be banned because of China, blah blah blah, ban TikTok. And I'm like, yo, you got to read the fine print in this stuff. Do you know who we're dealing with here? We're dealing with a government that doesn't like us. Do you think their sole purpose is just to ban TikTok? Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And I've got a lot of clips, several clips to dive into, including one from Uncle Trump. So stick around. This first clip, though, that we're going to be getting into is one with Rand Paul and none other than Brian Kilmeade of Fox News. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Brian, but I am a big fan of Rand Paul. Let's dive in.
You have some foreign owners. I don't know if everybody's an American citizen. And then what if they say, well, Fox News is giving misinformation on the election? You have a foreign ownership, you have misinformation according to the government, and all of a sudden they say, well, we're going to shut down Fox News, or we're going to shut down Twitter. So the bill isn't just about TikTok. It mentions TikTok by name, which is also a problem because laws are not allowed to target one company, but there is also a danger that it goes beyond that.
So I want you to hear with the FBI. So in terms of banning it, I think national security should trump that. And it being that we're finding out that...
Notice that Brian didn't address what he just said. Notice that Brian ignored it and just went straight to his talking points. All right.
That Beijing is designing this algorithm to help divide America over the hot issues that you debate every day in Congress, from race to gender and all these other things. Knowing that it's been around since 2016, Gordon Chang came out and says it's like allowing 170 million spy balloons over America. And here's what the FBI director said yesterday.
That kind of influence operation, or the different kinds of influence operations you're describing, are extraordinarily difficult to detect, which is part of what makes the national security concerns represented by TikTok so significant. Americans need to ask themselves whether they want to give the Chinese government the ability to control access to their data.
Okay. So, I mean, doesn't that concern you? Do you think? Do you see a difference? Do you think there should be maybe a listing of nations like Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran that should not be able to own entities like this?
Well, here's the first thing. Here's the first thing, and this is the most important fact of all of this, and it needs to be debated, not assumed as a fact. The company is owned 60% by international investors, 20% by the 2 Chinese software engineers who developed it, the entrepreneurs who began the business, and 20% by their employees, 7,000 of whom are American. So it's a very diverse ownership. It's not owned by the Chinese government. In fact, on TikTok's board, there are no Chinese nationals that control this that are associated with the government at all. They're CEOs from Singapore. So this is an international corporation, and like every other international corporation, they deserve their day in court. You can't just take their property. Look, I have a lot of arguments with the Chinese communists. I have a lot of arguments with the Saudi authoritarians, but I'm not saying we should allow banning anybody to do business with the Saudis because they have an unsavory government as well, and because they spy on their people.
Senator, did you see the hearing, or were you part of that hearing? I can't remember what committee it was in front of, when the CEO of TikTok was there trying to rationalize why we should leave it in this country?
You know, I wasn't in that hearing, but I do know that they have been working very closely with our government to try to adhere to anything they can do to stay open in our business, in our country. They've offered and actually have transferred most of their data to Texas, to an Oracle cloud. They have review of the data by Oracle to make sure it's being controlled here. They're offering to go through what's called CFIUS. CFIUS is a procedure where foreign-owned countries are trying to work to have American boards. They've also worked with the government to try to do
the fundamental.
that.
I know about the Texas project, and I wish it was effective, but it isn't. We put $1 billion into it, or they did. But they did. He could not
but
assure
that's an opinion,
that
Brian.
ByteDance.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
No,
no.
Nobody thinks the Texas project did. No, but nobody thinks. Let me finish. Nobody thinks the Texas project is up and running and is effective.
I do. So the thing is when you say nobody believes that it is.
And let me just finish. They could not answer. The CEO would not assure that Beijing would not have access to personal information for 170 million Americans.
I don't think that's true. I don't think
which
that's
is
true.
number one with young people. It is true. The number one with young people
even if it were true, Brian, it's an allegation. You are making allegations against a company owned by Americans, and you have to prove it in court.
Who owns that company? Who owns that company? ByteDance. ByteDance is owned by China.
No, it's not. See, that's a lie, and you're defaming the country. You're defaming the company. 60% of it is owned by international investors, 20% is owned by the software developers who are Chinese, and 20% is owned by the employees, 7,000 of whom are Americans. So it's a complicated
controls the algorithm?
But it's not owned by the government.
It's not about profits. Who owns the algorithm?
TikTok owns their own algorithm, and it's actually not in China.
Who owns TikTok? ByteDance. And who owns ByteDance? The Chinese government.
No, they don't. See, you've just told a lie, Brian. You can't say on TV something that's a lie about a company. That is an out-and-out lie, and it's provably
What is
false.
a lie?
And they're not owned by the Chinese government. TikTok is owned privately, 60% by international investors.
ByteDance controls the algorithm. That's all that matters. You're talking about profits.
Let me finish.
I've been listening to you.
Let me finish the answer. 60% is owned by international investors who have made investments in this. 20% is owned by the 2 Chinese software engineers who developed the app, and 20% by their employees. And
who controls the algorithm?
And 7,000 of them are Americans, and the algorithm's not in China.
Yeah.
Everything is held outside of China.
You're comfortable with TikTok influencing America, and you believe that those 60% of foreign ownership controlled it. Senator, thank you so much. I got to go to
Constitution.
Great answer, Rand Paul. Great answer. I'm comfortable with the Constitution. Constitution, baby. See, that's why I like Rand Paul, and you know, I'm not the biggest fan of guys like Brian Kilmeade, man. You know, and even Trump, right? He agrees.
One more thing from today's news: TikTok. The Republicans just voted to. Republicans and Democrats just voted to ban it. You don't think they should ban it right now?
Well, I didn't say anything other than you have to look at Facebook. Facebook is the enemy of the people. They did those lockboxes. They spent $500 million. You know, if you spent more than $5,600 or whatever the number is, if you spent $100 more, they put you in prison for campaign violations, right? Zuckerberg, or Zuckerbucks, whatever you want to call him, is spending, the number is crazy. He's spending $500 million in the last election, and nothing happens to him. And that money's being passed all over the place, especially on the lockboxes, or so-called lockboxes, because they're not lockboxes. I call them open boxes. And I think that something has to be done with Facebook. And one thing I will say, I don't want Facebook to get bigger because I think Facebook is an equal threat. And that includes with China. Because if China wants to know anything about what Facebook knows, they're going to give them the information.
Mr. President, I'm very curious about what it's like for you, your life.
Bingo. Another great reason why we should not ban TikTok. Because now that gives more power to someone like Zuckerberg, who we all heard of the Zuck Bucks. We don't need any more of that going around, right? We do not need any more of that, okay? And also, here is Marjorie Taylor Greene saying the same thing.
Yeah. I just voted no on this bill because it has many future concerns for me. Number one, they said China is a foreign adversary, which it is, it definitely is. But if Congress wanted to be serious about protecting our national security from China, we would stop China from buying our farmland.
Bingo. Bingo. If China is such a threat, why are we allowing them to buy farmland here in America? On American soil, if it's such a threat, if they are such a big threat, if they're the big bad boogeyman, why are we allowing them to buy our farmland? Ask yourself that question. Then ask yourself, hold on, again, why are they banning TikTok now? Is it really because of China? I don't think so.
We would stop China from investing in our universities. We wouldn't pursue the Green New Deal that forced Americans to drive cars that China owns 85% of the battery market worldwide. So there's many ways to stop China. We would produce our oil and natural gas fossil fuels, and we would dominate China in the world as far as energy is concerned. That's the way you stop China. To say that this is protecting Americans' data is not true. If we wanted to protect Americans' data, we would protect Americans' data universally from any company that takes data and sells their data.
Bingo. Bingo. You don't have to ban TikTok. You just pass a bill that says, hey, we're protecting American data. You cannot sell American data. You cannot reveal American data to anyone outside of America. Simple. Solves the problem. So again, why are you banning TikTok? Is it really because of China?
So I don't think that accomplishes the mission there. Another problem I see, and I speak from experience, I'm the only member of Congress that actually got banned on social media, and that happened by American-owned Twitter. That didn't happen by Chinese-owned TikTok. Americans don't trust this government. This government right here worked with big tech and social media companies to censor and ban Americans on social media. I think our First Amendment must be protected completely. So I think that this is opening Pandora's box. And the last question I have, who's going to buy Twitter? Is it going to be Mark Zuckerberg? And I can tell you right now, most of my posts on Facebook, if they have certain issues, I don't have full free speech on Facebook. So my question is, who will buy TikTok where 170 million Americans are?
How much did Donald Trump's opposition weigh in on you?
I haven't spoken to Donald Trump about the bill.
You've seen what he said.
I haven't spoken to Donald Trump about the bill. These were my own conclusions, and I made the vote based on my own conclusions and by reading the bill myself. You know, he has his opinion on the bill, and he can voice it. So it doesn't mean that we're all robots. We make our own decisions, and mine was to vote no on this bill.
As everyone should vote no on that bill. This is my personal opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel about this in the comment section, but this bill is not about TikTok. It's about introducing a Trojan horse. This is about banning Twitter, in my humble opinion. I mean, think about it. They controlled all of media, right? They still do, basically. And they controlled all of social media. Until a guy by the name of Elon Musk came through with what was it, $54 billion, and said, you know what, I'll take that. And he bought it. They didn't like that too much. But then they said, you know what, whatever. Hey, just as long as, you make sure you ban this person, keep that person banned, and make sure this is censored and that is censored. And Elon said, you know what, I'm bringing this person back, that person back. And as a matter of fact, you can pretty much have free speech on the platform. Say what you like. Oh. You guys remember that all of the companies for a little while, or it seemed like all of the big companies, pulled their ad dollars away from Twitter? All at once. Just all at once. They all just coincidence, right? Just a coincidence. Now they don't control a big social media platform anymore. They have no say over it. They have no control. This is their way, in my humble opinion, of introducing that control back into the equation. Because as you heard there is a part of the bill, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here. And as a matter of fact, actually, I'll read from Tucker Carlson's tweet here. I actually reposted this. So if you're following me on Twitter, you might have already seen this. But here it is. Tucker Carlson says, in a classified briefing this afternoon, attended by officials from the Biden Justice Department, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claimed that Elon committed election interference in 2022 by changing the algorithms on X to alter the results of the midterms that year. Not coincidentally, the anti-TikTok legislation now being debated on the Hill would allow the federal government to force the sale of any social media platform that interferes in elections, just so you know what's coming in 2025. And as you heard, it gives that power to the president. And if a company happened to disagree and wanted to appeal, you know where that appeal is going to take place? It ain't Florida. It ain't Texas, not South Carolina, not Tennessee, not Ohio, DC. See where this is going? I think you catch my drift. This is all bogus. It was never meant to protect American citizens. As Marjorie Taylor Greene perfectly illustrated, there are plenty of other ways that they could have protected American citizens, and they didn't. So I think that's a clear and obvious indicator of what's going on here. If you truly cared about protecting Americans from the Chinese, you wouldn't have been allowing China to, allegedly, buy American farmland. That's for starters. And if you truly care about protecting American data, you wouldn't allow any companies to sell American data, to expose any American data. You wouldn't allow any. Why just TikTok? Interesting, huh? Just saying. Just saying. Even salt looks like sugar. But it ain't, though. This bill might have looked good on its face. Ooh, we're sticking one to China. Sticking one to them. In reality, we're just putting a fork in ourselves. Y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Y'all know what to do about this one. Peace and love. I'm out.